back, nerds. We're going to try to finish this up. I mean, if we have to have a part 2, I'm not opposed to it.
I don't mind. I'm not.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I'm here for it.
I'm down for the cause.
Storm loses her powers. Nathan is born. In comes Sinister. And Bishop takes Nathan to the future for, trying to find a cure for the futuristic illness, biological warfare that's Sinister and,
And can we say Bishop worst babysitter possibly?
Very
Definitely agree.
Awful.
Getting like 0 stars on a review. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, whoa, you lost the baby on like the first, like, bro, like what?
You didn't just lose it; you lost him in a different time.
Yeah,
like way past the Harold and Kumar last movie they did, like where they're babysitting. Like that's
yeah.
Or no. I'm thinking about the sitter with
Jonah Hill.
Jonah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that movie was fucking epic, bro. I knew what you meant.
But yeah,
No,
I was highly confused about this. I mean, I guess Bishop's the only one. He's like, I have one charge left for being the baby. I was like, okay, fine. Take my baby, I guess.
So
Right.
I hate to nerd out on y'all again, but I was like, so like, listen, let me tell y'all something. When Bishop lost the baby, I saw seeds being planted for another storyline. And I'm going to be 100% honest. Like, it was so obvious when that baby got lost. I was like, so this was very intentional. You could either go this way or that way with it. And then according to the end, it's like, okay, you guys definitely went that way. Like,
It's so well done. Like, I mean, so when they dropped that little tidbit and they're like, oh yeah, like Bishop lost the kid, and you're like, oh, okay, so that's how Cable's storyline has truly come into play now. Which, again, spoiler, I guess, if you haven't watched it, Cable is Nathan. Nathan is Cable. Surprise.
yes. Woo!
Again, a review.
But
right.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm very excited to see how that storyline is going to get played out, especially now with the way that the season ended, with everybody ending up in these different timelines. To actually see Scott and Jean potentially actually try to be parents for a little bit, it should be interesting because, Nathan only knows that he was supposed to be taken to the future for safety, and then babysitter dropped the ball.
Right.
And next thing you know, your parents are just showing up when you're like 9 years old. It's a wild time. But yeah, I'm very excited to see how they're gonna roll with that storyline specifically, because Cable is such a cool character to me. Because he doesn't even use his powers like 90% of the time. Mm-hmm. He only really uses them if he has no other choice.
Facts.
So like,
straight up Merc.
To try to understand that thought process is I want to know. I have to know, because if you have the abilities to have a mixture of your mom's like psychic abilities and then your dad's like psionic eye blast, it's like, whoa. Like, no. You should be the most badass of the most badass, and you see that in that
cheat code
episode of it. But yeah.
Yeah, Cable is super OP. Cable is super OP. It reminds me of that line in the Avengers where Natasha is telling the Hulk, like, you could destroy everybody, but you choose not to. And it's literally true with Cable. He's got the techno virus, and he knows that every time he uses his power, it pushes him closer to that. But it's like there's times where he has to literally rely on other, like, knowing that you have the keys to open the door, but choosing to lockpick it is wild. and that's Cable. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like, yo, I got the keys, but I'm about to lockpick this shit and see what we can do to get through. That's Cable in a nutshell.
Skyrim lockpick thing shows up.
Right. It's like, yo, I got the key for this, but let's play the mini game. Let's do the little lockpick mini game.
The door's open. Just walk through. Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
It's locked.
Nah, let me figure out how to disarm this barrier and then disarm the flame trap and climb over the laser grid to get...
He walks through the door to lock it from the other side in order to lockpick it.
Right. But life on the hardest difficulty for no reason. He said Torment 5 Diablo. Let's go.
Yeah, he's always on hardcore, never played adventure mode.
Wild.
Baby mode. But so yeah, Bishop takes Nathan to the future and loses him. Yeah, that happens, and then we have the declaration of Genosha, which is just beautiful. Everything anybody could ask for, but
what a beautiful place it truly was.
Yeah, I mean, just powers, crazy colors, music, people disappearing and reappearing because it's Mutant Island.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's great, and I don't like the sound of Mutant Island. The way I said that, I don't like that.
Well, it's out there.
The sewers of Futurama, but just on an island.
The world of Futurama, but on an island and very colorful.
I guess that's how the Milky Way is for.
You see a conservative as human sees that, and of course they're going to call it, or no, it wasn't a conservative person, it was an actual alien species, and called it the Milky Way ghetto. But they didn't see.
We're talking the Milky Way galaxy. What can you expect here? You know what I mean? We're just doing ghetto shit, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Genosha is everything they could ask for. But then you look down, you're having so much fun watching this episode, and you look down, you're like, wait, this series kind of just started. So
something has to happen.
If you didn't read the comics, you already knew.
Yeah.
You just had to. You're like, something's not right. This isn't sustainable. I feel like we're like they don't want it to be, and we were right.
Yeah.
I've seen Game of Thrones. I know shit is not gonna work out.
Right. This seems a little too for the episode. This seems a little too no.
Sure, there's emotional drama, but there's no spiritually breaking drama that happens for a little bit, and you're like, something's off.
Yeah, this was the most eye of the storm / suspenseful moment. You're like, oof.
Yo, most of that, I was sitting there,
too happy.
I was like, listen, I was like, okay, so we have the island of Genosha, right? And again, as a comic book reader, I'm looking at this. I was like, okay, this can only go one or two ways, right? And if you don't introduce certain plot threads, you're just like, okay, this is definitely going this way. And I saw it. I was just like, oh, okay, you guys are really gonna do this, and they definitely did. It's like, all right, we're gonna get genocide.
But before we go any further, we kind of forgot to pick saddest moment, but this is probably the best moment to do that. Saddest moment.
Yeah.
Which one? So losing her powers, Genosha, Gambit, the entire fucking series. and that's basically it. It's not, I mean, there's a bunch of sad moments, but it's comic, so it's not always permanent. So I
think I want to toss another one in there.
Yeah, I was about to say, but they didn't say anything. Go to Nat, put in the same.
Because I had to think about. I was thinking about it during our break. I was like, man, I know there, like in the back of my head, I'm like, I know there's something else that I'm not talking about, and it hit me. It was and what hit me was Wolverine experiencing a kiss from Jean and him being the bigger man and walking away. That hurt. Like that was a painful moment.
Another adult romance theme that we did not talk about that's been in X-Men. What I was saying, it's been in there since the beginning.
Yeah.
It's this throuple. This, X-Men. It's not even like a real throuple because Cyclops and Wolverine kind of hate each other, but I kind of feel a little kinetic energy over there sometimes from that. Jean, she kind of like got on my bad side a little bit. She just like, we're just going to ignore it. She straight up kissed Wolverine.
And like from Logan's perspective, you're just like, oh my God, bro. Because he got what he wanted because he wants Jean, but then he himself dealing with the demons of his past being like 100 years old. He's just like,
lucky.
I'm not going to do this.
We're lucky Wolverine's been through some shit. Otherwise, like a normal man, they probably,
he would have quit his job. Lost his at home.
Yeah, he would have leaned in instead of like being the wiser person.
Yeah,
and walking.
but that's what needed to happen. Because like, listen, like it's kind of like that thing. It's like, don't meet your idols. That's what happened. He's like, It ain't all that. It ain't all that. Like, it's cool. Like, in my mind, I was expecting this, but that kiss was meh. Yeah, meh.
Yeah. And then, hell, Logan again, having his adamantium bones ripped out of his body.
Yeah.
That, I was a little heartbroken. I was just like, oh my God. I always like had that in my mind where I was like, well, he could just do this. And then they finally did it.
Yeah, to see that in an animated, like, because it's only been depicted in like comics, but to see that actually happen.
Yeah, they have the panels of it, but like, again, like seeing that, like, yeah, like it's Wolverine.
Yeah, like, no, I feel you. That's why for me, saddest moment, Gambit, all the way. Look, everybody had their moments, but Gambit got the collective over the episodes. It's like, yo, listen. It's like, yo, you're watching this dusty shit. It's like every episode they dish Gambit like a shitty, like, cherry on top of a shitty sundae. Like, not just the sundae. They didn't just give him the sundae. They gave him like the shitty cherry too. It's like, bro, like, that's why for me, Gambit had the saddest moment. Like, it got progressively worse until he died. That, like, nobody else got that treatment the whole season. I'm gonna say Gambit's saddest moment. That's
the coolest moments also. But yeah, Gambit collective saddest.
And I think that's part of the reason it's the saddest is because you see Gambit using his powers in a way that was never depicted in the series. Like in the comics it was, but yeah, for you to finally see him like using his ability and transferring it into like his staff, into the motorcycle, into the scarf when the building was and like the train was falling on them.
Like, yeah, into Wolverine.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was beautiful.
Yeah. I'd have to agree. It's Gambit. It's a Gambit.
Yeah, I think Gambit had the saddest. Like, he just really got treated like doo-doo stains the whole series for being that powerful. You know what I mean? Like, I was sitting there, like, I felt so bad. I was like, yo, I can't keep watching this. Like, you can't have this man. Like, did you see? Like, even when it wasn't action, it was like he walked up to that like thing and saw Rogue coming. Like, he didn't see what happened, but he saw her coming out of the room. Like, you don't want to see a lady coming out the room, bro. What?
That leads like to your imagination, and then like your imagination is never nice.
Right? It could be worse than what actually happened. She could have been like, no. But it was like, nah, the way you came out of that room, I'm not feeling that.
In your head, she says no, and like throws him on the ground.
And then like, and also too, his backstory alone, being part of the Thieves Guild and technically being a villain, to like watch him have that redemption, and then only for that redemption just to fall to pieces. It's just like, oh my god, bro! Like,
it's so pretty crusty
as well. They made him so wise as well. Like they truly did him dirty, but did him well.
Plus, they don't get beignets anymore. Like that hurts. That like, you've never had a beignet. Phenomenal. So good.
But like, even that, like what we're talking about, you know, leads into another theory I have, like, straight the fuck up when it comes to the ending episode. I honestly think, because we know that nothing's permanent in Marvel, and with the ending, we know, I just feel like we haven't seen the last of Gambit, and we're actually going to get a specific version of him.
Gambit Force Ghost?
Say again?
Gambit Force Ghost.
Gambit Force
Ghost. We're going to, I actually think that we're about to get Gambit, one of Apocalypse's 4 horsemen. And how it went down is gonna. I really think that we're gonna get Gambit as the Force Horseman, as well as anybody who is time displaced right now. It has to do with the greater Marvel MCU and some of these other comic book storylines. I honestly believe that we're about to get in. Again, the carrot has been dangled in front of me as a Marvel fan. And I am fucking on that treadmill, racing at the max speed, trying to catch that carrot, because they really blew the lid off of this. Like, and I honestly think that this is going to tie in to the cinematic universe and even Deadpool. I even think that we're going to see things from the X-Men 97 in Deadpool.
X-Force Deadpool, Wolverine Deadpool.
Yes. Even the Wolverine itself. The Wolverine itself may be, but this is just a theory. I really think that the Wolverine that is in the Deadpool may be from the X-Men 97. And we're getting kind of a futuristic view, but a prequel view as well. I honestly believe.
All right, I like that.
Yep. Hear that, but we have these Flames theories.
Yeah, and with like seeing Apocalypse holding Gambit's card at the end, and like thinking about the group that's there with him at his beginning. It's Rogue, it's Nightcrawler, it's all the people that were closest to Gambit. So they're probably telling him stories about Gambit as this is going to progress. So then he immediately, like, as soon as like he shows up at that time period, he's like already picked Gambit, like you're saying, as one of his horsemen. He's like, well, it sounds like this is somebody who's loyal, and that's exactly what I want.
Exactly. And then when you see the rings of the Egyptian place, I feel like we're gonna get a Mortis or Rama Tut. We're gonna get a version of Kang, because with the Jonathan Majors controversy going on, there's no better way to write this character off than in an animated sense. And so when you see that orb that resembles the citadel that Kang had in Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was kind of like I went, there's no way that structure exists looking like that without us introducing Kang. And with everything that's going on, this is the best way to get this character story drawn out without having to address the real life controversies. So this is tying into my theory of why I think that this X-Men 97 has actually been a blueprint to save the Marvel Universe, according to the last projects, how they went, the popularity of the rise of anime in the United States and cartoons. Like they were smart not to wait on this and to jump in, and they actually are going to save their entire universe based on this one cartoon, based on the fact that you got Avengers tie-ins, right? You got the Apocalypse, and we know that Disney has got the right to these X-Men characters and licenses. So this is the best way to introduce them without having to go through that process of casting somebody and making sure they can act the role out. You can actually do this through the animated simulation is what we got. And the fact that we responded so much to it, it's easier to have a base to introduce these characters into the real life. And that is my theory for what this show was. Because we talk about this experimental phase with where Marvel, as a company should do, you reach your pinnacle, you want to reach the people you haven't reached, but that didn't work out because they reached such a broad audience already. You can't get them all. And this show is the lesson to show you can't get them all. But if you build on the foundation that you've already established and use the wide array of things that you have at your disposal and introduce them in small trickles, you can get people excited for the future. And I saw that at every aspect. I watched the show and I went, wait a minute. These guys are really sprinkling breadcrumbs just for us to eat them up.
Just for us to eat them up.
Mm-hmm.
And there you guys have it. Before we even finished Flame's theory, this came full circle.
Oh, my bad. I was like, yo, it was just boiling up. It was, y'all. It was.
I felt it bubbling. I was like, I'm gonna let him cook. Mm-hmm. And we're going to end this right here. And we're going to do part 2 in the next couple of days.
Yes, I'll be down for it. I'll be down there.
There's
if we don't do it tomorrow, we'll do it Monday. This episode will probably be released Saturday.
Okay.
Monday's episode will be released Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
We hadn't gotten into Bastion. We hadn't gotten to Operation Zero Tolerance.
Yep.
We talked a bit about, time jumping.
Can I make a quick note? We got a little bit.
Yeah.
Operation Zero Tolerance. And before we do this, ties into the Onslaught saga. So if you have the time, read that, and it will really give you a full comprehensive story of why they sprinkled that breadcrumb for Operation Zero Tolerance in there, and Bastion, because Bastion is you could take a whole season and focus on Bastion.
Everything's a circle. Everything's connected.
Everything's connected.
We had
Charlie Day.
We got a whole other segment. We got to talk about the cameos, just on cameos.
Oh yes, let's do this.
Marvel cameos. So that was part 1 of our X-Men 97 review. I am Nerd Solo. That is my guy Flame on Games and my guy Wisconsin Johnson. We'll talk to you next.
Here. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, fellas. You guys have a wonderful night. We will see you guys on part 2. Let's go.